women wore shisha in their clothes since the 17th century, and now they're worn more beautifully as if they weren't meant for me. I see them on runways, weaves into their embroidery so cheaply, when for centuries their reflections were enough for a man to fall in love so deeply, because brown women have been wearing nuts since the 16th century, and now they're worn more beautifully as if they weren't meant for me. I remember one time I wore a bindi to school. I thought it was pretty, but they called me a fool. They said, go back to your country with your stinking clothes. And now I see them in every music video, so I say, hey, what now makes it so cool? Because brown women have been wearing biles since the 1st century, and now they're worn more beautifully as if they weren't meant for me. The chimes alone acted as inspiration for poetry. You should read the Gila Batikaram. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong to assume that the same mouths that made the words immigrant so dirty are the same mouths craving for a curry on a Friday night or a chai tea latte, because brown women have been wearing mendi wale hat since the Vedic century, and now they're worn more beautifully as if they weren't meant for me. There was patterns on my palms that could put petals to shame. Their stains are enough for lions to lose their tame. Their curves and lines are considered hypnotic. But now I bet your henna tattoos make you feel so damn hipster and so damn exotic. Yeah. I'm not saying that our lives can't be shared and symbiotic. I'm just saying that we shouldn't have been degraded in the process. Whilst they mocked our linguistics, our artistics, and the symbolic, we were crying to be cut loose from the shackles of colonialism. Oh, the irony of Indian women scraping their heavenly dark skin with beauty creams, trying to be lighter. Whilst they fake up their tans, we cry to be whiter. My thick hair was decided for me before I was even in the womb. And let me assure you that my brown skin isn't some kind of costume. We have tried our best to adopt a cultural milieu, mold ourselves into the surrounding area like glue, but who are we trying to fool? We just look more out of place, like animals in a zoo, but assimilation is a complete separate issue. And I'll leave that to Fanon to discuss, because we shouldn't have to blend. For once, can we not pretend that my beautiful culture is not a trend to be passed on like bell-bottom jeans and feathered hair? This is my beauty. And I'm happy to share, but not at the cost of belittlement. And not in combination with a comment on my mother's accent. We have been too busy living in the dust of an empire that burnt our worth, that we refuse to go from the ashes. But I'm no longer ashamed. I shall wear my kajal along my long lashes, and I shall wear my seeds with pride so we can flourish, so sure. Wrap yourself up in a sari whilst we unravel ourselves from self-hatred and low self-esteem. Unweave the oppression, and we'll let go of the victimhood stitched in the seams. Thank you. Everybody, now introduce myself. I'm Jaspreet Kaur, but I go by the name of Behind the Netra for my poetry. By day, I'm a history teacher. I know what you're thinking, I'm not a bold old man with a beard, but I'm a history teacher, I promise you. That's what I do by day, and that is the love of my life. It's what I love to do, but poetry is also my passion, and I feel poetry is my way of sharing narratives that we do not speak about. And my second poem that I want to read to you, or recite to you tonight, is a poem that I wrote earlier this year when I went to Punjab in India. And a family member of mine took us to Wagah border, which is basically the border in Punjab, which meets on the Punjab on the Amritsar side, which is in India, and the Punjab on the Pakistan side, which is in Lahore. And every evening at sunset, they have ceremony, which is a huge spectacle of the Indian side and the Pakistan side, with their soldiers like kicking their legs up in the air, and it's this huge spectacle. It's a complete joke, basically. But it's a huge ceremony that happens every evening, and they swap flags and all this sort of thing. And I was sitting there next to my granddad watching the ceremony, and I looked over to him and I saw tears in my granddad's eyes. And I said to my Babaji, that's what I call him, I said, Babaji, what's wrong? Why you're so upset? Like, this is exciting, this is cool, right? And he says to me, well, these people sitting here do not realize what partition did to my Punjab. I lost friends, I lost family, I lost so much during partition in 1947. And we all look at independence in India in 1947 as such an amazing, patriotic thing that it did for India, but people do not realize what partition did to thousands, or should I say millions of people. And I was telling my students about it today, because my students were saying to me, Miss, where are you from? Because as you can see, it's not quite easy to tell where I'm from. So I said to them, oh, I'm from Punjab, and one of the girls was like, oh, that's in Pakistan. And I was like, yeah, you're right, but I'm not from that Punjab, I'm from the India Punjab. And they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, this is the point. This narrative isn't spoken about. Nobody knows what independence and partition was all about. So this is my poem called 47. Let's talk about that year that my soul became so rich with tears, because as it appears, the decision has been made. They've paid the price for their face. Musliman there, Hindustan here, and well, Sikhs, you can end up anywhere. Forget your forefathers, son. What defines them means nothing now. You can watch the setting on the sun on your side, behind your line. Put down your shotgun. Leave it there with your Jameen. 14. What do you mean 14? 14 million. 14 million uprooted from their homes like roots of a tree, ripped out of the ground that they belong to. And it won't be long before they make weak out of the strong, remove them, displaced. Son, let go of that embrace. That's not your home anymore. You can watch the kite soar on your side, behind your line. We didn't even have a chance to fight a war. We didn't have a chance for our lions to roar, because we were all so sure that independence is here. That's not independence, my dear. That's just a remembrance that colonialists will rule us and always will, like a pill, drugging us with opium till we were too blind to see our worth. And here we are crying for a rebirth, a change. Well, isn't that strange? This was meant to be for our own good. This was meant to be what we want. A corpse-filled train. Now tell me, how will I refrain from telling these people that they won't be cremated? How will I explain and get into their brains that their skin and their mane won't mix with the rain, with the rivers in my Punjab? 5 rivers. But 2 of them are here and 3 of them are exclusively there. Tell me, how is that fair? Whilst you sit every day at sunset and you cheer. 2 lands stretch out their thirsty hands, and whilst for some of you your patriotism might expand, the rest of us are desperately trying to let go of our homelands. Border, bring in some world order. Move, losing more than 3/4, burn down those borders. Listen, my dear, please just give me your ear. Blood is still spilling in the lands of Kashmir. Wake up from this illusion of independence and freedom, or continue to sleep on in this nightmare. Because we've been living in a lie since that very year. 47. Thank you.
Give everybody applause, everybody.